Tonight, out of this world, Southern launched to send vehicles into space after receiving money to build a mobile launch rail. And the local vet doing their bit to keep parvovirus out of regional areas.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with Madeline Kerr begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. Southern Launch is set to receive a major boost as they draw closer to take off at Whalers Way. The South Australian launch provider will receive government funding to build a mobile launch rail designed to send suborbital vehicles into space.
All systems are go for Southern Launch. The countdown drawing closer, with the space exploration company receiving close to $1 million in federal funding.
So funding from the Australian Space Agency under their Moon to Mars initiative. Almost $1 million to go towards a mobile launch rail.
The launch rail will be designed to send suborbital vehicles varying in weight from 20 kilograms to 3.5 tonnes into outer space. Rockets will roughly be 9 metres long and are unmanned sounding spacecrafts designed for scientific research.
So these are rockets that follow a parabolic trajectory, it's like an underhand lob. So they go up, potentially out of the atmosphere, then before all of the parts of the rockets and the payloads fall back down to Earth.
Rockets will be launched at both Whalers Way and the Kaniba facilities.
We're getting it designed so that we can put it onto the back of a truck and move it between Kaniba and Whalers Way. So exciting launches from both locations.
Southern Launch is still waiting on approvals from the Australian Space Agency and may expect delays as we await the appointment of a new federal space minister. But Lloyd and the team are hopeful that a rocket will go into space this winter.
I was honestly hoping for a summer launch, beautiful weather, but it looks like it'll be in a few weeks, few months' time.
Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Today, the Port Augusta City Council put on a Reconciliation Week event for the whole community. There was plenty of fun for everyone with food, games and cultural activities galore.
Celebrating Indigenous culture. Gladstone Square was a hive of activity this afternoon for the city's Reconciliation Week event. The day of entertainment beginning with a traditional Welcome to Country.
Doing Welcome to Country is a good feeling. I like doing it because I like to speak my own language. It makes me feel a bit more at home as well.
The City Council using the day to bring members of the community together.
So a couple of months ago, Council decided we would send an invitation out to all the community organisations and see if they wanted to get on board and join us for a reconciliation event.
The Council also reached out to local youth agencies and schools so Port Augusta kids could attend and participate in cultural learning activities.
It's pretty important to show support to the Aboriginal people and Torres Strait Islanders. It's very important to acknowledge that they were the original custodians of this land.
Each of the stalls were asked to provide an activity for either reconciliation or youth. So we've got lots of fun stuff like chalk, sidewalk drawing, craft, throwing things. We've got food, lots of fun stuff for the kids.
Community members using the day to make their own t-shirts, play giant novelty board games and learn about the region's native wildlife. The kids are especially thankful for the free food cooked up by dedicated volunteers.
We went to go get some nachos and then I wandered around and played that chocolate game over there.
Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Golf News.
As part of Port Pirie Council's annual road resealing program, appointed contractor Boral Asphalt will be spray sealing sections of Port Blocks Road. Works are expected to be taking place until next Tuesday, subject to the weather.
It's a busy time in Port Pirie, with multiple infrastructure projects taking place, including the spray sealing of the section of block roads between Railway Terrace and Sandy Lane. The timing isn't great, with severe weather warnings in the mid-north this week.
Council has an asset management plan, and in the asset management plan it talks about all of Council's assets, and sealed roads are one of those. We have an annual resealing program where we assess all the roads and we prioritise them, and then we identify which roads need to be resealed each year.
Ms Johnson says the resealing of roads is a crucial project, which benefits the whole community.
So resealing is important because we need to protect our road network. It's very important to the community. So by resealing the roads on a cycle, it means that they're maintained to the expectations of the community.
Some properties along Peary Block roads may be closed completely for around 10 to 15 minutes, and some sections of the road may be inaccessible for a short period of time while works are conducted.
So we have two ways that we reseal a road. One is with asphalt and the other is with a spray seal. With the spray seal, they run the bitumen, which is a black liquid, out along the road, and then they run the stones out over the top of that, and it pretty much can be driven on straight away.
Council want to thank the community for their cooperation and patience during these works to improve our road network. Annabelle Francis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. Farmers set to benefit as the Mallee Seep project gets underway after 3 years of community consultations. And the Broken Hill vet offering free parvo vaccinations for puppies. Welcome back to 7 Spencer Gulf News. The Eyre Peninsula Landscape Board is finishing up an important project aimed to help landowners across the region. Those experiencing Mallee seeps on their properties now have ways to control the issues and implement strategies to stop them from damaging their land.
Farmers dealing with Mallee seeps on their properties can now breathe a sigh of relief. Work conducted by the Eyre Peninsula Landscape Board has found ways to counteract its effects.
The seeps generally begin as waterlogged areas after high periods of rain, but can sometimes lead to permanent salinitisation and land degradation if they are not managed correctly.
A Mallee seep is a waterlogged area that affects vegetation growth. The board worked closely with 4 properties across the region over a 3-year period and came up with some viable solutions.
And potential strategies to manage the Mallee seeps on EP. And these included a raft of options, including high water use options, salt-tolerant grasses and strategically placed monitoring equipment.
Seeps are more commonly found in the winter months after high amounts of rainfall. However, after working on properties in Kimber and Loch, landowners now have ways to restrict the flow of water in their properties.
I guess we've had the best results where we were able to stop the flow of water into these areas of perched water by growing really deep-rooted perennial species such as lucerne.
Despite the project coming to an end, the board is looking to continue its work.
This project is coming to an end and it was funded through the Australian Government's National Landcare Program. But we are very excited that the Eyre Peninsula Landscape Board are going to help us continue monitoring for a further 12 months.
Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
The RSPCA is having a vaccination drive for dog owners in Broken Hill tomorrow to protect pups against parvovirus. The drive is open to anyone who has a concession card and for puppies aged 6 weeks to 18 months as well.
Broken Hill RSPCA is helping make life a little less rough for dog owners in the Silver City, with cases of parvovirus all too common. Symptoms include vomiting, bloating and lack of appetite in dogs, and it's highly infectious, even fatal if left untreated.
It's free of charge for people who have a concession card. They will have to bring their concession card on the day of vaccination.
The organisation has acquired funding for the drive and it will run for the next year.
This vaccination drive will be held for 12 months. We've secured some funding from our local volunteer branch, so they've contributed money to see this program go for the next 12 months.
To help your vet give the best treatment possible, owners should keep track of their dog's vaccination history by recording each immunisation they receive.
Puppies generally require 3 to 4 vaccinations and then a 12-month booster, and then as an adult it goes to 3 years.
If you are buying or adopting an older dog, or even rehoming one yourself, having a record of vaccination history will make the process easier and give all parties peace of mind.
So if you are adopting or buying an animal from someone, it is a good idea to ask about vaccination history and ask them to provide that.
Unlike the COVID vaccine, vets have found most owners don't hesitate to have their pooch protected, which is why it's so great to see Far West locals participate in this free canine jab initiative.
We don't really see much hesitation towards vaccination. It's more around people's means in terms of finances.
If you have any questions about getting your dog vaccinated, contact the RSPCA clinic or your vet. Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, residents in the far west of New South Wales encouraged to have their say about the regional water strategy. And as part of National Reconciliation Week, artists gather for a free community workshop in Port Augusta. Welcome back to 7 Spencer Gulf News. The Department of Planning and Environment has released a draft of the New South Wales Regional Water Strategy and is asking members of the community to have their say. The strategy captures all water resources, including Menindee Lakes.
Looking to the community to help shape the future. The Department of Planning and Environment Water Strategy looks at the next 20 to 40 years in Western New South Wales, using groundbreaking data to fully understand water-related issues in the region.
But our data is suggesting that we could have more extremes. So we could have more extreme wet periods, but we could also have more extreme droughts. So more frequent and longer droughts.
The draft has a range of options to help people visualise different scenarios which may become a reality in the coming years. And while these may not happen, we need to be prepared in case they do.
The strategy includes a range of options to understand what could we do to make sure we are prepared if we start to see a future which is potentially drier than what we've seen in our lifetime.
It's the first time a comprehensive plan using climate change data has been used for Western New South Wales. The strategy is available to be viewed online, and there's also a webinar coming up so the department can hear from locals. They will also be heading out to and speaking to them in person.
In addition to the webinar, we will also be having a few community meetings. So we'll be in Menindee on 15th of June, we will be in Walgett on the 28th of June, and we'll be in Burke on the 30th of June.
You can read the draft plan online at the Department of Planning and Environment's website and have until July 13 to comment on it. Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Port Augusta art enthusiasts made their way to the city's gallery today to reconnect with their inner child. The current photography exhibition using colour and costumes to showcase the experience of growing up in Australia.
The joys of being a kid captured on film. The Port Augusta Cultural Centre and Art Gallery's latest exhibition, titled Adolescence in Wonderland, is drawing the attention of locals.
It is a great exhibition that's trusted us from Country Arts, but also was part of Tanadi Festival.
In her exhibition, Hobson presents the daily life of children in her community of Cowan on the Cape York Peninsula. Using fun pops of colour and strange props in her photos, she hopes to tell the real-life stories of young Aboriginal people in remote Australia.
Naomi Hobbs had taken great photographs, but she had turned the people into colour, so that way the story stays on them, but you get a whole picture, but it comes back to the person in front of you and the great little fun story that's behind capturing that photo.
Gallery staff say locals have enjoyed the light-hearted nature of the exhibition and the humour of some pieces.
Naomi Hobbs captured this brilliantly, I think. It just tells the innocence in this photograph and the quirkiness that makes you want to laugh and smile at the same time.
With the current installation closing on Saturday, gallery staff are already excited to present similar vibrant displays in the second half of the year. Edward McCarroll, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us after the break. Thursday Fish Tips with our experts across the Spencer Gulf region. And we'll have the weather details, including what we can expect weather-wise this weekend with Alex Sykes. Welcome back. If you're keen to wet a line this weekend, rest assured our fishing experts have compiled their tips for reeling in a decent catch wherever you may be. Let's kick things off with Jamie Crawford in Port Lincoln.
G'day and welcome to Fishing Tips in Port Lincoln. We'll start locally in the bay here. There's been some lovely garfish caught. So in the proper, into Spalding Cove and also around Boston Island. Probably the fish around Boston Island have been the biggest. There's been some salmon up to around about 1 kilo caught from the shipyards, and also some pockets of fish out around Boston Island as well. Up at Louth Bay, the jetty has been producing some nice sized squid, especially early in the day. And over at Coffin Bay, within the bay system, the whiting reports have been pretty good. There's also been some gummy sharks caught late in the day and into the evening. Through the farm beach grounds, the deeper water is a little bit hit and miss at the moment, but the shallow water grounds have been fishing quite well, but the fish have been a bit small. And there have been some nice school sharks caught up around Frenchman's and also towards Coles Point. Well, that's all for tips this week. We'll see you again next week with more fishing tips.
G'day and welcome to this week's fishing tips from Port Augusta, Jewel of the North. Well, the whale's still hanging down around the Chacks area. It's been spotted a couple of times. And with that, you'll probably get some big kingfish up here as well, because that's the time of year they'll start rocking up. A seal's been spotted up in the harbour as well, so that's been a bit of joy for the tourists. But getting on the fish, King George whiting can be found a little bit further south, the bigger ones, down around Yatla and Chinaman's Creek, but they have been up in the Flinders Channel and up around Martridge's Bank as well. Squid can be basically found everywhere at the moment. Really good catches down along the jetties along the front of the shack, and that last half hour as always just drift along the front of the shack so you get a good feed. Really good garfish at the moment, especially on those moonless cloudy nights, getting real good hauls of dabbing them as well. That's all we have from the Jewel of the North.
Some great tips there, and I would love to see that seal. Time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather with Alex Sykes. Alex, day 2 of winter, how was it?
It was cold if you were in Clare, Maddie, but firstly, good evening to you and our viewers. But yes, Clare was just 2.5 degrees in the early hours of this morning, with some pretty high humidity too, 99%. Elsewhere, 16 degrees in Port Lincoln, 1 degrees cooler in Port Pirie, 15. Cooper Pedy reached 12 degrees. Looking at the map now, and it was 14 degrees in Whyalla and Kadina, 15 the top in Port Augusta, or the Jewel of the North if you were Aaron Morgan from our Fishing Tips segment. Adelaide reached 13 degrees. Taking a look at the satellite image now, a massive bright cloud covering the state with a trough is bringing rain over the far north. We can barely see South Australia under all of that cloud. A series of troughs and cloud fronts will move across the south over the next few days. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and we'll start with the Gulf waters. Winds will be north to northwesterly 15 to 20 knots, turning west to southwesterly in the afternoon. Seas around 1 metre and south to southwesterly swell below 1 metre, increasing up to 1.5 metres south of Cal and Woolloomooloo during the afternoon. Between 7 and 18 in Port Lincoln, 16 in Cleve on Friday, wouldn't it a shower or two, and set to top 18 degrees. While at Port Augusta and Kadina will all reach 17 tomorrow, with a few showers expected. Port Pirie showers and also set to reach a top of 17 degrees. Showers increasing in Clare between 5 and 13, and morning showers in Broken Hill heading for a top of 11 degrees. Taking a look further through the week now, let's start with Saturday's forecast. Showers are likely if you're near the coastline. 14 degrees in Port Augusta, Woodna, Whyalla and Port Lincoln. It's looking rather similar on Sunday, except it will be slightly cooler. Temps in the early to mid-teens in most places. Cooper Pedy, the only centre on our map without rain forecast. Moving on to Monday's forecast now. 16 degrees right down the left side of our map, including Port Augusta and Whyalla. Partly cloudy conditions. 15 degrees and some drizzle in Port Pirie and Kadina. Broken Hill, 13 degrees. So there are definitely some cooler temperatures coming up, Maddie, but as for day 2 winter, it isn't too bad. And that's all the weather from me for tonight. I'll have an update a little later on. It's back to you.
Thanks for that, Alex. And that's the local news this Thursday. I'm Madeline Kerr. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates a little later, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.